If you've just joined us, our guest on this episode of Question Time is the President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Comrade Wabah Ayuba. Stay with us. Some state governors are saying they can't pay the minimum wage and it's not sustainable for them. What's your view on this?
Well, the bailout fund is supposed to be a cushioning effect or a support to those states in form of loan, because the bailout fund is not also free. It's supposed to be like a kind of intervention to ensure that workers continue to earn their salaries. And I think some states have judiciously utilized those bailout funds to the satisfaction of NLC. But I think in some cases, those funds have not been judiciously utilized, and we have some good examples. But I think the bottom line is that we can also continue to over-rely on one source of revenue, because that is also part of the challenge that have led a lot of states into this quagmire. And most of them solely depend on revenue from the center, and therefore the issue of internal general revenue was actually not given attention. But in the new approach, most of the states are now looking at the issue of enhancing their revenue. On the issue of the minimum wage is supposed to be a safeguard against exploitation. The minimum wage is supposed to be the minimum that a worker is supposed to earn in Nigeria, either in private or public sector. And therefore, the history of the minimum wage have been very long from 1981 to where we are today. And don't also forget that the minimum wage was not only imposed. The minimum wage was negotiated in line with best global practice, where a tripartite system was put in place between employers, government, and labor, NLC, TUC, to negotiate a minimum wage. That's how we came about the 18,000 minimum wage in 2011.
In view of the prevailing economy, is 18,000 naira minimum wage a living wage?
Well, I think it is very obvious and clear that the present 18,000 naira cannot be said to be even a minimum wage, talk less of a living wage, because of obvious facts that are also on the table. First is the issue of inflation. Two is the issue of the exchange rate. Workers and Nigerians largely depend on importation of most of the product we use. And you remember when we negotiated the 18,000 minimum wage, a dollar was selling at not more than 150 naira to the dollar. Today, due to inflation and other factors, a dollar is selling at 260 naira to the naira. And therefore, it is very clear that 18,000 cannot be able to sustain a worker and a family of 4 for a period of a month.
What is responsible for the delay in your presentation of the recommendations to the federal government?
The issue is that there are processes we follow, especially the alignment of facts and figures, and also get through these things through our organs. That is the highest organ, the National Executive Council, before finally it's being presented. So it has nothing to do with that. As organized labor, I think we need to have one common position, especially with our counterparts also, the other center. So this have been a process that have been in place in the previous reviews, and therefore these are processes that will follow before making it public, because it doesn't make sense to just quote a figure today and make it public without doing what is needful.
Is the perceived factional crisis in the NLC a reality?
Well, I can say yes. After the March election, we had some challenges, and I think our colleagues tried to also form a faction, but I think through the process of reconciliation, which we initiated with the support of our veterans, our former leaders, we have been able to come to the table to look at what is best for our movement and what will also be beneficial to Nigerian workers to build a very strong center. Don't also forget that this is not the first time NLC have such or this type of challenge. All through our leadership, I think we have had those challenges. From the time of Somunu.
Are you implying that there's still a factional leader in the NLC?
No, presently we don't have a factional leader. After the reconciliation meeting held by the veterans, with the also help of our former presidents, Adams Oshumole, Governor Adams, and other veterans, it was actually resolved to the effect that one leadership will be recognized, and other auxiliary issues that we need to take on board will then be taken on board.
Before I let you go, I want you to drop a word on casualization of workers in Nigeria.
Well, NLC have been very vocal on the issue of outsourcing of services and contract jobs. It is even against our laws, and it's one of our policies that will have to engage those casuals and also those companies. Of recent, you are aware that we had a meeting with the Minister of Labour, and they are also committed to the effect that both NLC and the Ministry of Labour should be able to partner and enforce those laws that are against contract job issuing and also outsourcing of key services, because workers should not be treated as slaves in their own country. And that issue is one of the agendas that the new leadership is passionate about, to ensure that these workers have the right to have decent jobs. They have a right to also collectively bargain, and they have the right for decent occupational health and safety in their workplace, which is not possible under contract jobs.
Comrade Wabah Ayuba, thank you very much for making our time to be part of this episode of Question Time, and also for giving us deep insight into the economic operations of the country and also your plans for the Nigerian workers this 2016.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate this opportunity, and we'll continue to do our best to ensure that at least our country continue to grow from strength to strength, because we create the wealth, and therefore we need to also support key areas of development that will bring about transformation in our various sectors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's as much as we can take in this episode of Question Time. You may also send us your comments on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Join us next week on another exciting episode of the show on Channels Television. Many thanks for watching. I'm Benga Ashiru saying goodbye.